What's going on, everyone? I'm John with another episode of Cocktails in Cloud. Today, we're going to be showcasing how to give safe and secure access to an auditor to access your AWS account. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a drink. For those of you who are out at our Summer Series event last month, we're happy to showcase the drink called the Spicy Cirrus. If you were there in person, you may have had the opportunity to taste it. So this particular cocktail is going to showcase the flavor of the Scotch Bonnet pepper. It's pepper season. I love peppers. I'm not a huge fan of super spicy drinks though. So what's cool about this drink is it's going to have a lot of flavor of the fruit of the pepper without an overwhelming amount of heat. So to kick that off, we're going to start with half an ounce of lime syrup, homemade whenever possible. And then to that, we're going to go with half an ounce of fresh raspberry syrup. I like this to be a little bit sour, not too sweet, because a cocktail doesn't need a ton of sweetness. And so this is fresh pureed raspberries with just a hint of sweetener added to it. Okay. Then we're also going to add a little bit of citrus, some pineapple juice. 1 ounce of pineapple juice. And then this is where the fun starts. We're going to add 1 ounce of Scotch Bonnet infused vodka. Yep, get a lot of that smell. A little bit of the heat comes through. So we're going to add 1 ounce of that. And then we're going to go with 1 ounce of plain vodka, uninfused. We don't want too much of the pepper taste, too much of the pepper heat, so we go half and half on this. You could definitely play with those ratios to kind of better suit your own personal tastes. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of shake this up with a couple ice cubes, and then at the end we're going to top it off with a little bit of raspberry syrup. So I'm going to go ahead and get some ice. Okay, we got to get some ice for our glass here. So, like most cocktails, we want to make sure we're straining this into a glass with fresh ice. We want to make sure we get as much as we can. Look at that color. That looks great. So what we want to do now is we want to take our seltzer water and top it off with a little bit of seltzer. We want some bubbles. That'll help really carry forward the fruit flavor of the pepper. Turn it into more of an aromatic. So top it off with the soda water, and then what you want to do is you want to roll that. So you don't want to stir it once you've added the soda water. You want to just pour once into your shaker, pour once back into your glass, make a little bit of a mess, but that's part of the fun. And then there we have it, the Spicy Cirrus. That's good. Cheers. You're still rolling? Perfect. So as we enjoy our Spicy Cirrus drink, we're going to go ahead and start looking at the AWS console. Before we do though, I want to share that if you like the idea of this cocktail, stay tuned to the end where we have a mocktail variant that also doesn't feature spicy peppers as well. So this is great for the kids who are tuning in. We have a lot of kids that subscribe to the Cocktails in Cloud channel. Unbelievable, so many kids. So let's go ahead and dig in. So when we give AWS auditors access to our accounts, one of the first things we want to do is make sure they only have read-only access. We don't want someone accidentally modifying something. So we're going to take a look at the policies that allow us to make that happen. So on my screen here, I have the AWS IAM dashboard. And so I'm going to go ahead and look at my users here. And I've already set up a couple users to showcase. We have a security auditor user. And when we take a look at that particular user, we see there's two policies attached. The IAM change user policy and then the read-only access policy. This read-only access policy is one of AWS's maintained policies. This is something that AWS creates, they control, and this is a good way to give someone read-only access to effectively every service in that particular account. We see it's a long policy. There's a lot of particular wildcard options here. One thing I want to point out, though, about why this may be a little bit of a concern for me is that this policy in particular offers full access to S3. And what this means is that an AWS auditor with access to this policy could access any of the objects in your S3 bucket and download them. This is particularly concerning if you have sensitive data, PII, anything of that nature in your storage buckets that you don't want that particular auditor to be able to access. So as an alternative solution, I recommend the security audit policy, which is a little more restricted. We see there's still a lot of services allowed, a lot of wildcards, but they're more restrictive in what actions you can actually do in S3, for instance. And so this is great because this will not allow the auditors to actually download objects from your S3 buckets. So depending on what your security auditors are looking for, if they do need access to those particular objects, maybe they're looking for PII in your buckets as a service, they may need more access than what the security audit policy would grant them. So one possible use security audit, if not the read-only access policy, will be a huge advantage. The other thing I see folks tending to do incorrectly is when you've established a read-only policy and you're using that in your account, one of the issues is you cannot set up your own access credentials, and you also cannot enable multi-factor authentication. And so one of the things we always recommend doing is enabling the auditor to manage their own access keys. This policy in particular allows the auditor to create access keys, to manage their access keys, to update them, but only for their user in particular. So they can't do this for other users, only their own user. So we highly recommend rolling out this policy to allow them to manage their own access keys, such that if one of their access keys was compromised, they would be able to rotate it themselves. Another policy we recommend is requiring MFA. We want our security auditors to have multi-factor authentication access. And we want to enforce that all of the actions they're doing occur through an MFA authenticated session. And one of the ways we do this is by having a policy that includes a not action that says the only things we're going to let the user do is manage multi-factor devices unless they have multi-factor auth present. And so this particular policy will enable them to manage their multi-factor credentials, but it will prohibit and explicitly deny any other action that may take place in the account. And so this enforces the auditor to use multi-factor authentication. These policies are actually inline policies. They're not AWS managed policies, but you can find these exact policies on the AWS blog post, which we'll share in the references. So what I'm showcasing here is that we're logged into the security auditor MFA user. This user is the user that requires MFA access. And so the moment we log into the AWS console with this user, we start to see error messages. Access denied. For instance, we can't call the IAM get login profile action. Our access is denied. And this is because we don't have our multi-factor auth assigned. We haven't logged in with that multi-factor auth. And so the first thing that this particular user would have to do, log into the console, set up multi-factor auth, and then use that for all console or CLI-based actions moving forward. And this helps keep that account secure. So if you like this episode, feel free to smash that subscribe button. We'll be trying to put out another episode next month, a week from now. At some point in the future, we'll have another episode. Thank you. Cheers. All right, everyone. So since we have the ingredients out, these ingredients make a really incredible mocktail. So for those of us who are not quite 21, or those of us who prefer the mocktail style lifestyle, we're gonna go ahead and make a mocktail. So same ingredients. We're gonna do half an ounce of the lime syrup, homemade lime syrup. Of course, a mocktail has to be sweet, right? Then we're going to add, what's that?
Raspberry syrup.
Raspberry syrup, that's right. So we're going for about half an ounce of the raspberry syrup as well. It's gonna get messy, Thorn. I hope you don't mind getting messy. All right. And then some pineapple juice. So going for an ounce of the pineapple juice. Actually, you know what? Let's do 2 ounces of pineapple juice. We all like pineapple, don't we? All right. So next thing we're gonna have to do is shake that up with some ice. So let me get some ice. And then Thorin, would you like to be the guest shaker? Okay, can you shake that up? Shake it hard. Look at the camera. All right, let me see that. Let's see, give it 1 or 2 last shakes. Oh yeah. All right, so what we want to do is we want to strain this out. Let me get the strainer. Do you want to strain it over your ice? Yep, hold it like that. Tilt it up higher. Okay, can you shake it a little bit? Give it a little shake. There you go. We're basically making the base of the drink. So this is gonna be a lot of flavor right there. Let me take a look at this, see if I can get any else out. I know it's cold, isn't it, buddy? But we wanna get as much of that wonderful flavor out as we can. Okay, so now some lime soda water. We're gonna go ahead and just top that up. And for this one, what we're gonna do is just a little bit of a stir. You wanna do a light stir? Make sure that spoon gets all the way to the bottom. All right, that's probably good right there. All right, I'll take that. Why don't you give it a try? Let us know what you think. Good? All right. Well, I hope you enjoy your mocktail. What's up, folks? I'm John with another episode. You're already laughing. How do you start laughing immediately? I don't understand this. So as we enjoy our Spicy Cirrus drink, how do you say it? Spicy Cirrus. Cirrus. Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
You're still rolling? Perfect.